Okay, everyone, welcome to our Yizkor service together with Rabbi Hackenbroch and myself. Just a few words of introduction to what we're about to do and to Shavuot as well. As we said last time, we said that we hope that we never have to do this again when it comes to the virtual Yizkor service, and unfortunately we do have to do this again. But it's incredibly special to be able to get together like this as a community, albeit virtually, and it's incredibly meaningful that as a community we are all here for each other as well, as we know from everything that's been going on. Just a few words about Yizkor and Shavuot before we say the Yizkor prayers. Yizkor is a time when we remember the souls of the departed, and more specifically the souls of our ancestors, our parents, who are no longer with us. And it's a time to remember the goodness that they gave to this world and the lives that they lived and the blessings that they brought to us and all those around them. I think it's particularly relevant and special that there's a Yizkor service on a day like Shavuot. Shavuot is also a time where we reconnect to our roots and we remind ourselves where we come from. And we remind ourselves of the fact that we were gifted with a special gift called the Torah, which is a book of wisdom and a book which allows us to live meaningful lives and connect the lives of all those who allowed us to be who we are today. And I would urge that through the Yizkor service we think about those things because that will make it all the more meaningful. And just one more idea I wanted to share about Shavuot, and that is that many people have asked me, why do we have milky products on Shavuot? What is that all about? Where does that come from? And there's many answers to this question, but the one which speaks to me the most is the symbolism of milk, is the fact that just like a calf or any mammal for that matter, the milk is its life force. The milk gives it sustenance. The milk is what keeps it alive. So too we remind ourselves that for the Jewish people, it's the Torah which keeps us alive spiritually. It's our spiritual life force. It's our spiritual sustenance. And on Shavuot, we remind ourselves of how much we depend on the wisdom within that book to keep us alive spiritually and to help us live life in the best way possible. So I'm going to continue with the memorial prayer for the Israel Defense Forces, and then with the Holocaust memorial as well. And then I'm going to hand over to Rabbi Hackenbroch to continue with the service. I'm going to start with the memorial prayer in Hebrew, the fallen heroes of the Israel Defense Forces. El molei rachamim, shoichein v'ameroimim, hamatzei menucha nechoina, kanfei ashchina, b'malois kedoshim u'tohoirim, kezoi har horakia mazhirim, es nishmois hakedoshim, shenilchamu b'chol marchois Yisrael, B'machteres u'b'tzvah hagana liYisrael, v'shenaflu b'milchamtom u'mosru nafsham al kedushas Hashem ha'am v'ha'aretz, ba'avur she'anu mispalalim le'iloi nishmoiseihem, b'gan Eden tehei menuchasam, lochein ba'al harachamim yastirei b'seiser kanafav li'olamim, v'yitzror chamis nishmoiseihem, Adonai hu nachalosam, v'yanuchu b'shalom al nishkevoiseihem, v'samoid l'chol Yisrael zechusam, v'yamdu l'goyr alom l'keit hayomim, v'noimar amen. The God of mercy who dwells on high, grant proper rest on the wings of the divine presence, the lofty levels, the holy, pure, and heroic ones who shine like the glow of firmament, the souls of the holy martyrs who embattled in the battlefields of Israel, in the underground and in Israel Defense Forces, and who fell in their wars and gave their lives for the sanctification of the name, the people, and the learned, because we pray for the elevation of their souls. May their resting place be in the Garden of Eden. Therefore, may the Master of Mercy shelter them in the shelter of his wings for eternity, and may he bind their souls in the bond of life. The Lord is their heritage. May they repose in peace on the resting place. May their merits stand on behalf of all of Israel. And may they arise for their portion at the end of days. Now let us respond. Amen. Continue with memorial prayer for the 6 million who perished in the Holocaust. Say this one in Hebrew and then El Molei Rachamim Shoichen V'Ameroimim Hametzei Menucha L'choin Al Kanfei Ashkino B'Malais Kedoshim U'Toirim K'zoi Harorik Yam Asirim Es Nishmois HaKedoshim V'Atoirim Shehumsu V'Shenehergu V'Shenishchatu V'Shenisrufu V'Shenitba'u V'Shenechneku Al Kiddush Hashem Al Yedei HaTzorerim HaGermonim Yemach Shemon V'Zivrom Ba'avur Shekol HaKohol Mispalalim Bad Haskoras Nishmoisehem V'Ganei Dem Tehem Nuchasom Lochein Bal Rachamim Yastirem B'Sei Ser Knofov Li'oilomim V'Yitzror B'Yitzror HaChaim Es Nishmoisehem Adonai Hu Nachalasom V'Yanuchu B'Shalom Al Mishkavoisehem V'Noimar Amen.
Rabbi Akiva, thank you for the very moving, melodic rendition of those two such important prayers. If you don't mind, if you can take off the banner, Rabbi Akiva, just so that people can see that we have lit a Yortzeit candle for the service. Excellent. Should be visible now. Yeah, excellent. Okay. We continue on page 10. For those that have the white prayer book from the shul, and I'll recite it in English. You can say it along if you have the text. Lord, what is man that you care for him, or mortal man that you think of him? Man is like a breath. His days are like a passing shadow. In the morning he flourishes and sprouts afresh. In the evening he withers and dries up. Teach us to number our days aright, that we may get a heart of wisdom. Consider the blameless and observe the upright, for there is a future for the man of peace. For God will redeem my soul from the grasp of the grave, for he will take me to himself forever. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. For the dust returns to the grave as it was, but the spirit returns to God who gave it. But I in righteousness shall behold your face. When I awake, I shall be satisfied and sing your likeness. Father of mercy, in whose hands are the souls of the living and the dead, may your consolations cheer us as we remember on this Erev Yom Tov, our beloved and honored kinsmen who have gone to their eternal rest. We think of our parents, the crown of our head and our glory, whose desire it was to guide us in the good and righteous way, to teach us your commandments and precepts, and to instruct us to do justice and to love kindness. We pray you, O Lord, grant us strength to remain faithful to their charge while the breath of life is within us. So may their souls find repose in the land of true life, beholding your beauty and delighting in your goodness. And now, O good and beneficent God, what shall we say? What shall we utter? Our needs are so many, we cannot declare them. Shame covers us as often as we think of all the benefits you have bestowed upon us. O turn this day in love and in mercy to the prayers of your servants who pour out their souls before you. May your loving kindness not depart from us. Give us our daily bread, and let us not be in the need of the gifts of men. Remove from us care and sorrow, distress and fear, shame and contempt. Strengthen us in our reverence for you, and invigorate us through your perfect Torah. Grant us the privilege to bring up our children, that they may keep your commandments and perform your will all the days of their life. O God, take us not away in the midst of our days. Let us complete in peace the number of our years. Truly we know that our strength is frail, and that you have made our life a few handbreadths long. Help us, O God, our Redeemer, to live faithfully and blamelessly before you during the years of our sojourn on earth. And when our end draws near and we depart this world, be with us, and may our souls be bound up in the bond of life, with the souls of our parents and of the righteous, who are ever with you. Amen, the Amen. We continue the individual memorial prayers on page 13. English is on page 40. As we said, when it came to Pesach, we are reciting the prayers today, but that doesn't replace the fact that we should still recite them on the last day of Yom Tov and say the individual Yizkor prayers once again. Yizkor. We continue now on page 17, which is the tradition in Woodside Park that we recite the memorial prayer for the former ministers of Woodside Park and Mr. Harry Wiseman. El Mali Rachamim, Sheikhin Ban Roimim, Amatim Nuchanachana Kampeshina, Bamalos Kadoshim Etorim, Kizora Kimasim, Es Nishmois, Moreno Rav Lipa Yontov Naphtali, Ben Abram Yaakov, Moreno Rav Shlomo Ben Sion, Ben Yeshua Lepra, Moreno Rav Yisro Ben Avram Shain, Ashat Aaron Ben Avram Linden, Reb Tzvi Ben Eliezer Wiseman, Shalchu Liolamam, Began Eden Teimanu Chasam, Lachem Balarachamim, Yastirein Beseisa Kanafam Liolamim, Vayitro Bezachim Isnishmoseim, Adonai Unach Lasom, V'yamnuchu, V'shalom, Al Mishkvoisehem, V'nomar Amen. Friends, the coronavirus does not and has not discriminated young and old, anyone from any member of our society has been open, and many from our community and beyond have suffered, and many have sadly perished. And therefore we will recite a memorial prayer for those that perished from our community, from the Jewish community, from coronavirus. El Malei Rachamim, Sheikhin Ban Roimim, Amatim Nuchanachana Kampeshina, Bamalos Kadoshim Etorim, Kazara Kimasim, Es Nishmois, Eile, Shehosu Ayedei HaMagifa Corona, Veshalchu Liolamam, Began Eden Tehemanu Chasam, Lachem Balarachamim, Yastirein Beseisa Kanafab Yolamim, V'yitzro Bezachim Isnishmoisayim, Adonai Unach Lasom, V'yamnuchu B'shalom, Al Mishkavoisehem, V'nomar Amen. We continue with the Mizmor LeDavid, Psalm 16, Rabbi Akiva, do you have that? Would you like to recite Psalm 16 for us?
Psalm 16.
Yizkor David.
Shemrei Lefsa.
Yeah. On page 19 in the White Book, page 20 is the English in the Woodside Park edition.
Do you want me to sing it, Rabbi Hackenbroch?
Well, yeah.
Mizmor leDavid, Adonai roi lo yechsor, v'inois tesheyar b'tseini, yalmei menuchos yenaleini. Nafshi yeshoivei, Yancheni v'madlei tzedek l'man shemoi, Kam ki yelech v'gei tzalmo v'es lo yiroro, Ki ato imodi shiftecho u'mishantecho u'mishantecho heimo yinamuni Shulchan neged zoyreroi, Tishanto b'Hashem en roishi, koisi ravoyo, ach toiv v'chesed, Yirdafuni kol yemei chayai, v'shavti bebeis Adonai, liyoirech yomim, na 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 ni da 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 na da 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 na da 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 da.
We come to the end of the Yizkor service and we feel tremendously connected with our loved ones. We remember them with such fondness. And we know that at the time of Yizkor, we make sure that we have a lit candle, a Yortzeit candle. The candle represents the physicality, the body, and the flame that dances and flickers represents the eternal soul. And it is that soul that resides on high that we remain connected to every single day of our lives. But I would like to suggest that in particular, when we are sitting around the Yontiv table, we can also feel exceptionally connected to our loved ones. And instead, perhaps, of discussing some of the more trivial matters, mundane matters, we can bring our loved ones to be around the Yontiv table. by discussing and remembering and recalling who they were, what they stood for, the outstanding characteristics, the good deeds that they did, the legacy that they left. That flame is burning so brightly. It is a flame that we must ensure grows day after day. How do we do it? Quite simply, by ensuring that that flame that they lit, the values that they stood for, our mum, our dad, brothers or sisters, grandparents, Rahman al-Islam, sometimes in the case of some children even, that goodness that they brought into the world, that light that they shone so bright, we are determined when we sit around our Yontif table to bring that light to the table, to share with our families wonderful memories about them, who they were, what they lived for, and perhaps to ask ourselves whether we are living the life that they wish we were. Are we living up to their legacy? Are we doing that little bit more? I think it is a challenge, but it is an opportunity over the coming 2 days to ask ourselves that question and let the soul of our loved ones to be present, to be with us. Let me share with you one story, which I think is a true story, and I think it's a story that we can take away an important message. The story actually occurred in London, but it was told by Rabbi Pesach Kron. The story relates to a governor of one of the Jewish schools in London. And like all schools in London, all Jewish schools, they struggled to be able to meet the deficit, the ever-widening deficit that all the schools are struggling with. And the Sruli Becker is his name, and he was asked on a Friday to start making the uncomfortable phone calls to families to say that for the school to survive, for the school to stay afloat, we need you to pay something to make up that deficit, to pay your school fees. And he called up one of the parents called Avi, and he said to Avi, you know, the school's really struggling and there's £2,000 outstanding on your account. Avi said, I am so sorry. Of course, I'll drop the money round to your house this afternoon. I know where you live in Golders Green. I'll drop it round. Sruli thanked him, wished him good Shabbos. That was the end of it. Sruli waited and waited. Shabbos came in, Shabbos went. Nothing. No envelope, nothing. Fast forward 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks later, Sruli still has not heard a word, not a word and not an envelope from Avi. School needs the money. Sruli calls up Avi. He says, where was the money? You committed, you agreed you were going to drop the envelope through my door. Avi's shocked and amazed. He says, you don't understand. I did. I came round to your house. Your son was in the front garden. I gave him the envelope with the £2,000 in, and I drove away. Sruli puts down the phone, heads straight for his son. Son doesn't remember anything about it. Frantically, Sruli goes from house to house, up and down the street, trying to find out if anyone knows or has received in error an envelope of £2,000 6 weeks ago. After house, he discovers that none of them know anything about it. He's about to give up hope, and there's one last house on the street. And he knocks on the door. This guy opens the door, and he tells them why he's knocking, and he says, I don't believe it. 6 weeks ago, on my front lawn, lo and behold, I found an envelope. I open it up, and to my amazement, there was £2,000. I went from house to house around where I live, didn't find anybody that had lost the £2,000. I had just lost my job. And I had no idea how I was going to face my wife and tell her that we didn't have the money to pay the bills. So I said to myself, I would use this money to pay the bills, and then eventually I would pay it back when the person came forwards. So he says, I'm willing to pay it back. Sruli's delighted, ecstatic. He calls Avi back. He says, Avi, you're not going to believe it. And he tells him the whole story. How this guy had lost his job and he'd relied on this money that had accidentally ended up in his garden, and now he was willing to pay it back. Avi stopped him in his tracks and said to Sruli, tell him he doesn't need to pay a penny back. I'll pay another £2,000 to the school. He should keep the money. Avi says, I want to tell you something. This reminds me of several years ago where I was down and out. I was broke. I lost my job and I had no money. I know what it's like to go through what he went through. And therefore I can relate to his struggle, his pain, his suffering. And therefore I want to do my bit to ease the burden on this man, and I'll pay. It's a beautiful story, but there's a profound lesson and message for us. Quite simply, the lesson is that we all know people that are struggling one way or the other during this coronavirus. Some have financial difficulties, some have emotional difficulties, some have health difficulties, some are feeling lonely, anxious, depressed, whatever it may be. So many are struggling if we actually open our eyes and are curious and look around us and ask people the questions. And the way that we are able to help those people is the way that Avi was able to help this gentleman. And that was, if we think about our past, our life experience, we've all gone through setbacks, difficulties, hardships. And if we are able to tap into that difficulty that we've had in the past, it enables us, it facilitates us to be able to relate to other people's struggles and difficulties in the current climate. And that is precisely what I would encourage us to do, to be able to try and to relate and to think about other people around us. People are struggling one way or the other. And it's for us that are blessed to be able to keep going and to have the koiches, the strength of character, to be able to move forwards in our lives, to help many others that may be needing our support in the current climate. This in itself is a great merit and would be a perpetuation of the legacy of our loved ones. May we all merit to be able to help those around us in the coronavirus and beyond the coronavirus. So many of you have given so generously of your time and your resources to help our community. I would encourage each and every one of you to keep going, and for those that haven't, to step forward and to keep helping and doing their little bit, because we never know who needs that help, and we never know how helpful it can be. Wishing everyone, on behalf of Rabbi Akiva, myself, a Chag Sameach, a good Yom Tov. We wish long life to all those that finished the Shloshim today, and may we only share in simchas and good health, and we look forward, please God, next Yom Tov in being together in Shul.